Hi everyone, welcome to JavaScript Bytes, where we solve practical JavaScript problems in bite-sized chunks. In this video, you'll not only learn how to debounce a function in JavaScript, you'll finally understand what a closure is and why you need one to make debounce work. We'll build a real search box that avoids hammering an API or wasting resources during junk queries with every keystroke. And it all starts with closures. If you're already familiar with closure concept in JavaScript, you can skip this chapter using scroll bar. Otherwise, it's a prerequisite for debounce and you need to understand closures first. So here I am in Visual Studio Code and I'll create a new file called closure.html and write some JavaScript to it. This might look innocent, but it's the foundation of debounce. We have a function called outer and inside it we declare a variable count. Then we return another function from it called inner, and that inner function uses count. Now watch this. Let me show you what the output is in DevTools. You see count outputting as 1, 2, and 3. But did you realize outer already finished when we did this line? Counter still remembers the count. How? Because of a closure. So closures are like backpack your functions carry. When inner is created inside outer, it gets a little backpack with all the variables it needs, like count. Even after outer is done, inner still has access to that variable. Let me make a slight modification and that would be clear. So I'm going to say, okay, let me go back to the page, reload it, and see what we get. It's now 1, 2 for closure 1, and closure 2 gave us 1. All right, each time we call outer, we get a brand new closure with its own backpack. Counter 1 and counter 2 don't share anything. They each have their own private version of count. And here's the key. That backpack not only stores the variable, it remembers its latest state across multiple calls. So every time we call counter 1, it picks up where it left off in the previous call. I hope that coverage of closure is enough. We can now focus on debounce. So for that, I'm going to create debounce.html. Here we've got a heading, a search box, and a spot to show the results. Nothing fancy, just enough to demonstrate what we need. I'll just take a minute to add some basic styling. All right, just enough CSS to make things readable and centered. Now I'm going to add some JavaScript to add some fake search logic. This fake search function is where we'll pretend to search. In a real app, this could be an API call, DB search, or text query in a lengthy text. But here, we'll just log and update the page. Let's simulate the problem. I'll type the word JavaScript into our search box and see what gets logged in the console. So let me bring up the page. And just look at that. Every single key press is triggering a search. 10 characters, 10 calls. Let's imagine you run a paid API. Maybe every search call costs you money. What if a user is typing fast? Every single letter sends a request. You're not just flooding the server, you're lighting your API budget on fire, one keystroke at a time. Even if you're not paying per API call or query, you're wasting resources, and that's some kind of loss time, money, or resources. So we need a smarter way, something that waits until the user stops typing before it starts to search. That's where debounce comes in. Let's comment out this code block we added earlier and replace it with debounced version. Here's how debounce works. It takes any function like our fake search and gives you back a new function that waits a little before running. If that new function gets called again before the delay is over, it cancels the last one and starts fresh. That's what clear timeout and set timeout are doing. Clear timeout says, forget the last timer. Set timeout says, okay, try again, but wait delay milliseconds. And what's args? That just means we can pass any arguments into the original function like our search query. So instead of running immediately, debounce says, hold on, wait a second, okay, now go. All right, all that's left to do is use debounce in our input. So here goes. We wrap our fake search with debounce and give it a delay of 500 milliseconds. Now, if the user keeps typing, the function won't fire. It only runs when they pause for half a second. Right? You want to see for yourself? All right. And now let's see as I type JavaScript. Right. Let me erase that and type a bit. Did you see the result text and console? Even though I typed quickly, the search only triggered when I stopped. And when I intentionally slowed down for half a second, which is a lot, and totally in your control, did it do this JavaScript followed by JavaScript. But still much better than sending a query on each keystroke like it was doing previously. This keeps your UI snappy and your API safe. So even though I just showed you a toy example of a search input control, you can debounce anything. Autosave a form, handle window resize, limit scroll events, or wait to send analytics until a user finishes an action. That's how you debounce a function in JavaScript and save your app and your wallet from unnecessary overload. If this helped, check out the rest of the JavaScript Bytes playlist and subscribe for more dev tips that don't waste your CPU. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.